What a night, late in spring, back in 95. What a very special time for me, as I remember what a night. And if that didn't just scare you off, welcome and thanks for tuning in. Seriously, thank you, because I have a feeling that when I go back to edit this later on, I might scare myself away. In fact, I might scare myself away from just doing this whole YouTube thing, period. And what a night it actually was. And cruisin, crashin, partyin, road trippin'. Yeah, we got it all. Even my own little lame claim to fame. So basically this video is just part 2 of talking about my 1993 Dodge Ram, which I started on my previous video. I'll link down below. Now, it all started on a typical Saturday night, spring of 1995. Night like pretty much every other Saturday night. Me hanging out with some friends and going out cruising on crashin. Now, for some reason, and I don't remember exactly why, my friend was driving my truck. So here we are. My buddy's driving my truck. I'm sitting in the middle seat because it was a bench seat back then. I got another buddy in the passenger seat, regular cab, so we're all crammed up in the front. Cruising down Gratiot, car full of girls next to us. We were all looking over when all of a sudden, bam! Just like impact, like what the F? My 93 Ram kissed the back end of a Dodge Shadow. Now, funny thing is, for the longest time, my friend that was driving swears up and down that he was paying attention. It wasn't his fault. He wasn't looking at the girls next to us, which, first of all, it's always your fault when you rear end someone. Very few cases it's not your fault, and I mean very, very few. Second, I'm in this side. My other buddies over here, we were looking that way, clearly looking past my friend driving, and we could clearly see which way his head was pointed, and it was not that way, it was that way. Now, surprisingly though, with all this damage that you could see in these pictures, the truck was still drivable. And even more surprising, the police, after they took down their whole police report, did all that stuff, they let us drive off in a truck. So what we did was we drove to a Rite Aid, bought a roll of duct tape, and the headlights weren't actually smashed, but they were dangling down by the wires. So we got the duct tape and duct tape up the headlights to point them forward instead of down so that we could at least see at night. And I guess that was technically good enough to make us legal, maybe? I don't know. Now, most normal people, after an accident, they're gonna go home, take it easy, something. Especially if it's at night, go home. But now we're kids. We don't want to go home. So instead, we decide to go partying. Now, this is where my lame claim to fame comes in. Any of you Weird Al fans out there know what I'm talking about with that. Now, just so happens that my one friend, the one that was driving, was really good friends with a local Detroit rapper. We won't say who right now, but I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out. And also, this was 1995, so this was well before this rapper ever even got big, got known. So he was rooming with a bunch of people in a house just south of 8 Mile. And they were having a party that night. So we all just drove straight over there. Now there are, aside from the accident, from this party, there are 2 things that stands out that I still to this day remember and will never forget. Number one, most of his roommates were DJs. And I've never in my life seen a vinyl collection like what was in that house that they all had, outside of a record store. They had some crazy vinyl in that place. Number 2 was actually just hanging out in the back of this rapper's white, I think it was like a Mercury or something like that, as he was actually playing a tape for us, a song that he had just cut, a demo tape that he just cut not long before. And I'll never forget sitting in the back seat, my one buddy next to me and his friend, the one I was driving, in the front next to him. And again, I don't feel like name dropping because what's the point? But honestly, I'm sure you could probably figure out who I'm talking about. All right, so now, fast forward a couple hours later, we've been hanging out, partying. It's, I don't know, 4 a.m. roughly. All right, now, cruise crash it, truck is crashed, partied, hung out with the rapper and all his crew and everybody. It's 4 a.m. Now you would think, okay, now it's time, you're just going home. Yeah, but don't forget, we're all in my one truck, and it's my friends are with me, so they need to go home first. So we drop off one friend at his home, which isn't too far from there. But then I gotta drop my other buddy back home. Home for him, though, was the dorms of Central Michigan University. And Central Michigan University is about a 2.5-hour drive from Detroit. So 4 a.m., roughly, I need to drive his ass back to the dorm at Central Michigan with my busted ass truck. And that's what I do. We take a road trip, we go to Central. By the time I drop him off, the sun is coming up, it's daylight, it's about 7:30 in the morning. At this point, I'm all alone in my truck, and now I've got to go back home. I honestly don't know how I made it home after that night. But yeah, that drive home was miserable. Like, miserable. Not to mention, like, even once you get past all the excitement, my smashed truck and all that just started sinking in, and I'm 17, and I'm having to confront the fact that I need to tell my dad about this. And that pretty much sums up this part of the story. We're just talking about this eventful night, this night that I will never, ever forget. I remember every bit of it. The cruisin, the crashin, the partying, the people I met at the party, and then a road trip after that. I'll never forget that night. Although I did forget what day it was, other than sometime in the spring of '95. And at the end of it all, I wasn't happy at that time, and neither was my truck. In fact, you could say it was one angry ram. How angry, you say? Well, I'll let this series of pictures speak for themselves. Now, I'm sure you're asking yourself, all right, so what happened to the truck? Well, that's going to be another part of this story, the resurrection. And that will be my next video coming out, and I hope to have that with you within the next week. Meantime, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, bad, good. I'll try to get to everything. Thanks again, and I will talk to you in the next video. That's right. Get out my way. Really, Huffines? Really? Thwarted by Huffines Dodge. Now that's going to be so much fun once I have my Hell Racing 1320. No, the Chevy's in my way. How about we get around it? We got one more quick run in us. I think I scared that Volvo. It started pulling off on his shoulder.